Trump wants to amend the SEC quarterly reporting requirement from quarterly to once every 6 months. I've got three big thoughts on this. So the most generous way of looking at this is what Trump said in his Truth Social post. It will save costs on companies. They don't have to compile data 4 times a year. Now they only have to do it twice. And it will also help companies be incentivized more toward the future and not looking at more short-term quarterly results. They're now only having to do it twice every year. So there are some good arguments that could be made for some of that. I'm not discounting them completely, but it's what Trump says at the very end of his Truth Social that kind of is the tell. He doesn't cite American or US capitalism. He cites China, which is further in line with his efforts to demand revenue sharing from companies like NVIDIA in order to loosen export controls, also forcing Intel to allow the US government to take a stake in the company. It is so consistent with Chinese state-run capitalism. And that's basically what Trump is trying to implement. So that's my second point, is that it is more and more looking like Trump is trying to take China economic policies and implement them here in the United States. But here's what I think is really going on. I think Trump fears that in the next few months, especially ahead of the midterm elections next year, that the economy will start to stagnate a little bit and slow down and maybe experience more inflation from the tariffs taking greater effect. Companies start to raise prices as they can no longer sustain the current economic environment. And most companies right now are just scared to raise their prices because they don't want to be the first mover in their space, not only to lose market share potentially, but also to get the wrath of Donald Trump. So now public companies are only reporting twice per year as opposed to 4 times. There's just less economic data out there, which will hurt investors because there's less transparency, but it will also not allow for all the data to come out regularly so that there's all this noise about the Trump economy. That's what I think he is really trying to control, the narrative, which is just like who he admires over in China.